The question is, why isn't this relationship that children respect parents not included in the 5 precepts? This respect is respect for elders. Is found in the Mangala Sutta. Mangala Sutta is a discourse. What happened here is that one night, the Buddha, because of his developed mind, the Buddha slept very little every day. He slept only 1 or 2 hours every night. So quite often, 12 o'clock at night, these devas, heavenly beings, will come and visit the Buddha and talk to the Buddha. And when they come, they emit light. But only people with psychic power can see. Only people cannot see. So one night, one of these devas came to ask the Buddha, what is the highest blessing? How do you get the highest blessing? And then the Buddha spoke this Mangala Sutta. The Buddha said, the first one, he said, Asevana Chabala Nang Pandita Nan Chasevana, which means not to associate with fools, to associate with the wise. This is the highest blessing. In other words, don't mix with foolish people, mix with wise people. This will bring you the highest blessing. Foolish people are people who have no moral conduct, who are walking the wrong path that will bring them to the woeful plains of rebirth. Wise people are those who are practicing the good path, who will bring them to a good place of rebirth. And then there's much advice given in this Mangala Sutta. For example, to stay in a suitable place. That is in our context, a suitable place is one where you can get to know the teachings of the Buddha. You can practice the teachings of the Buddha. You walk the peaceful way. And then other things like to respect our parents, to support our parents, to take care of wife and children. In other words, take care of the family. To listen to the Buddha's discourses, to discuss the Buddha's teachings, to practice meditation, to have gratitude. Gratitude, the first people we should have gratitude to are our parents, because our parents took care of us when we were helpless. So they are the first persons we should have gratitude to. In Buddhism, support, gratitude towards our parents is very, very important. If you cannot have gratitude towards your parents, you are not a good person. That's pretty fundamental. To be grateful to somebody, you should be grateful to. And then a lot of advice given in the Mangala Sutta. If you just study it. So that is not included in the 5 precepts, because the 5 precepts are at the very minimum we should keep to avoid harming others. These 5 precepts is so important that in most religions you have it, and it's even in the laws of a country. For example, if you kill a human being, you will get hauled up to court, right, and sentenced to be hanged or something. And then if you steal your neighbor's things, also you get brought to the court. And if you seduce your neighbor's wife, also you'll be hauled up to the court. If you lie and cheat people, also you'll be brought to the court. So these are pretty fundamental moral conduct. That's why this is the basic. And in addition to that, the Buddha advised that lay people should keep nowadays they call it the Sabbath. The Sabbath. In Christianity they call it the Sabbath. But actually, many of you don't know that this was practiced during the Buddha's time before Christianity. In Christianity, they practice it on the Sunday. But in the Buddha's teachings, it's on the 8th of the month, the 8th day of the lunar calendar, the 15th, the 23rd, and the 30th. In Theravada Buddhism, it's the 30th or 29th. But in Mahayana Buddhism, they made it the first lunar day. So once a week, basically once a week, you're supposed to keep the 8 precepts and practice. Because when you keep the 8 precepts, the extra, basically the 8 precepts is, the first is the same, not to kill, not to steal, but the third one, instead of not to commit adultery, in the 8 precepts, it is not to engage in sexual conduct. That means if a person is married, then he abstains from sexual conduct. The 4th one is not to lie. The 5th one is not to take intoxicants. The 6th one is not to eat a meal between noon and the next morning, dawn of the next morning. That means not to eat food. Means you can eat twice. You can take breakfast and you can take lunch. The reason is to not to sort of to practice the eating minimal, not to be a glutton. But that in some monasteries, like in our monastery, we allow beverage drink at night. So you want to make a Milo or a milk drink at night, it's all right. So that's the 6th precept. The 7th precept actually consists of 2 precepts. One is not to adorn the body, not to use cosmetics, perfume, etc., or flowers or garland, etc. And then another thing is not to see shows, to watch TV or to listen to music, etc. So that is the 7th precept. The 8th precept is not to sleep on a high and a large bed, a very comfortable bed. That's the 8th precept. So these are the 8 precepts. So by keeping the 8 precepts once a week, you are in effect practicing like a monk or a nun for one day of the week. So the Buddha said that is very beneficial. At least you see that you realize that life is impermanent, that we all end up in the grave in the not very distant future. So seeing the urgency, you at least strive spiritually at least once a week.